All right, here we are. Sorry for the few technical difficulties getting off to a slightly later than usual start with this post game. After it's getting crazy, this is getting nuts. What's going on? I don't know. Another win. That is 6 wins in a row for the New York Knickerbockers. There was a time not long ago when I was asking myself, is this team going to win 6 more games before the trade deadline? Looking at the schedule, being like, nah, we're not going to beat that team. We're not going to beat that team. Looking at these back-to-back with the Bulls, Bulls struggling out of the gate. They'll probably start to figure it out and catch us right when they're getting things going. And now here we are. 6 straight wins, 16-13. I have never seen in 3-ish decades of watching basketball a team completely and totally change its identity overnight. And I feel like I've come on here and said some version of the same thing after each of these recent wins, but I don't know what else I should be on here saying to start off, because we could talk about individual players, we could talk about individual areas of improvement, we could talk about how they were at the bottom of the stats in this category and now they're at the top of the stats in the same category over the last, half of the season and the whole thing. They've just completely reinvented who they are. They've reinvented how they approach the game. They've reinvented how they respond to challenges. They've reinvented how they go about. I mean, offensively, they're still for the most part the same team, although it certainly looks cleaner. And having Quentin Grimes back, hitting shots. I mean, we'll talk about him tonight. Certainly helps. RJ Barrett getting back to normal certainly helps. Defensively, though, I mean, you want to talk about night and day? It doesn't even begin. It doesn't even begin to talk like to aptly describe, how much different it is that we're watching. And I know there are some fans that are watching this and be like, 6 in a row, this team's still not going to do anything. I don't know if that's the point. Are the Knicks magically a contender? No, they're not magically a contender. Are they, suddenly a threat to be a home court team, in the playoffs? Listen, let's just get into the playoffs. Let's get into the top 6. I know it's feeling great right now, and I know it feels like we're never going to lose again. Get into the top 6, and then we'll talk. Like, none of the bigger stuff has really changed, but there was a lot of bad shit coming down the pike, and I know there were people rooting for some of that bad shit, fans of the team rooting for some of that bad shit because they just want to see changes, and some of those people may still be out there, and that's I'll keep saying it. If that's your viewpoint, that's fair. That's your prerogative as a fan. But like, I don't know. First of all, this is more fun. And second of all, I will never not believe that, like, if you're going about things the right way as a franchise, that winning isn't better than losing. I mean, that may sound overly simplistic. And I added the part about, like, if you're going about things the right way as a franchise. And what I think is so key about what they're doing right now is who they're doing it with. And it's another night where we're looking at, all of these same young homegrown players, plus Julius Randle, plus Jalen Brunson. And Jalen Brunson's already he's the most foundational piece in the franchise as far as I'm concerned. I know he isn't a Knick for life. I know he wasn't drafted by the team. He might as well have been, because that's how meaningful it is to see him doing what he's doing in a Knick uniform. Him and Grimes were my 2 big ones for tonight. I know Barrett ended up leading them in scoring. I know a few other Knicks had some really nice moments. Grimes and Brunson, those 2. I think if you're a Knicks fan, you probably are feeling as good about them as anyone on the roster. And we'll talk about everybody else, but huge shots from Grimes early, huge shots from Brunson when they were down by 7. It felt like they were actually teetering on the edge of, like, wait a minute, are the Bulls going to, like, start to run away with this game? Nope. Brunson, 3 after 3 after 3, right back with the lead. And then that led to the third quarter where they slowly and methodically just pounded the Bulls into submission, mostly by dominating the glass. Again, night and day. One of the worst defensive rebounding teams, if not the worst defensive rebounding team in the NBA through the first month or so of the season. Tonight, the Bulls don't get their first offensive rebounds at the last minute of the third quarter. Meanwhile, the Knicks had 15 offensive rebounds by the end of this one. Night and day. Julius Randle. Like, how you didn't? I during the first month and a half of this season, I could have dedicated every post-game newsletter. I could fit about 10 clips in a given newsletter. That's how much like Substack allows me to put in. It's how much space it has for it. About 10 clips. I could have filled every post-game newsletter, every one, with clips of nothing but Julius Randle and, in fairness, RJ Barrett making poor defensive plays over the first month and a half of the season. Now, you watch Julius Randle defensively tonight. He's flying around out there. He's flying around out there when they're up by 25 in the fourth quarter. He's getting in passing lanes. He's switching. He's getting going smartly going for steals at the right times. Barrett's looking better defensively, holding his own against a tough cover in DeMar DeRozan tonight. I thought he did a really nice job. Just up and down. Everybody is chipping in. Everybody is playing how they need to play and doing what they need to do for this team to win games. I mean, we're talking about a game in which Julius Randle did not shoot well at all. Emmanuel quickly went 1 for 12 from the field. Isaiah Hartenstein went 1 for 7 from the field. RJ Barrett, I know he finished 9 for 20. He was struggling for a large portion of this game, and they won this thing going away. It's incredible. I can't wait to get to the Super Chats. I know there's going to be a lot of exuberance, a lot of opportunity for me to talk about a bunch of individual outstanding performances in this game. But before I get to the Super Chats, I want to take a minute and just say how freaking cool it was to see Derrick Rose get that moment. And look, who knows what's going to happen with Derrick Rose's career. It's funny. I was looking because he talked before the game about someone asked him if he thought he was a Hall of Famer. And then I guess he gave like a deep breath. I think it was Popper tweeted it out, and he didn't really give an answer, and like, it's going to be a really interesting case. I'm going to probably dig into it a little bit more at some point in the next week or two and write about it for the newsletter. But like, he's almost inside the top 250 scorers of all time in the NBA. That's nice. Goran Dragic actually is like the active player who's like closest to him. It's funny that they played each other tonight. Anyway, whatever. That's not the point. I bring it up because, like, is he going to play anymore after the season? Does Derrick Rose want to be a break in case of emergency point guard? Does he want to be like a version of last year's Taj Gibson for a team, or this year's version of Taj Gibson for a team? I don't know. I mean, the guy was an MVP, as Bulls fans reminded everybody tonight. So there is a chance this was his last ever appearance on a court in a jersey in Chicago, which, if that's the case, like, to come in and to that round of applause and those chants, and then to hit his first shot from 3, it's just really cool. He deserves it. He would have been one of the all-time greats. Just absolutely would have been one of the all-time greats. And, his career went the way it went for reasons outside of his control, and that sucks. But it was cool that he got this moment tonight. And I was not a big Derrick Rose fan the first time around when he was in New York. Could not be a bigger fan of any player, than I am of his after what he's done and I think what he's meant to this team. So wanted to finish on that note. And on that note, we get to the rest of our show. But first, a reminder from our friends at WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. How many times do I have to come in here and say on the postgame, I hope you're downloading the WynnBet app, and I hope you're betting the Knicks money line and to cover. You're going to be happy if you did. I mean, I don't know how many straight games they've covered. It's a bunch. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100. Download, bet, win. You will win if you bet on the Knicks the way they're playing. On that note, let us go to the Super Chats. I would expect nothing less than our first Super Chat to come from the one and only, from the friendly confines of San Diego, California, Robert Cross. First time, long time, John. Celebratory cutlets tonight for 6 in a row. What kind are you having? Hashtag 53 wins. I don't have any cutlets in the house, unfortunately. That's a bad job by me. I do have some leftover chicken fingers. Those don't really count, although they are from a good place down the block. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm celebrating with I poured myself something from my liquor cabinet. It's some kind of bourbon. I should know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's pretty good. That'll be my cutlets for tonight. I'll have cutlets though early this week, hopefully after another win on Sunday. Thank you for starting us off, Robert. Drew P. My last super chat was tank, but Rob's right. Hashtag 53 wins. Yeah, isn't this more fun? Isn't this more fun? Like, if they were in a tank, if they were like in the midst of a tank, we didn't have to worry about, it was just like, oh, okay, they're going to lose a bunch of games and that's fine. And, I guess there would be a certain pleasure in that because with every loss, it's like you get closer. But then at the end of your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is still a coin flip with for getting a top 4 pick and a 14% chance of a number 1 pick. Like, this is more fun. I think this is more fun, if nothing else. And this team is, again, I cannot emphasize this enough. This team is good. Like, they have an identity, and the identity is defense, but they score. They score enough, and they know how to operate on defense, on offense. Will they be able to score with the best teams in the league? That's probably not on most nights because they just don't have that kind of 3-point shooting, all due respect to Quentin Grimes. And 3 is more than 2, and they just don't have a lot of guys firing away with that level of regularity and accuracy, and like that's not how they want to play. Now, can they keep games close because their defense has been so good? Yeah, I think they can. It's just going to be tough because, like, there is a difference between being a slightly better than league average offense, which is what they are right now, and being a team that is capable of, like, catching fire and, putting up the sorts of numbers that I think you need to be. Although, as I say that, game changes in the playoffs. So, anyway, thanks, Drew. Drew for you with one more. We should appreciate this team, that fourth quarter defense. Yeah. Again, they gave up 4 points to the Bulls in the first 8.5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Think about that. This was a game. This was a game after 3 quarters. The Knicks were up after 3 by 4. They were up by 12 after 3 quarters. So, like, if you're up by 12 after 3 quarters and you're the road team, you expect, to get a little bit of a run. Nope. No run. Nothing. Put the clamps on. And I know the Bulls are broken and, like, they're probably going to blow it up, but yeah. Thanks again, Drew. A.E. Kennedy. No negativity tonight. This team is rolling. 3 players with 20 points, almost 4. They mentioned on the broadcast last time 4 guys that had 20 in the same game was 2018. I don't remember that game. It's a bad job by me. I don't remember that game. Jalen Brunson, clutch in the second, and Jew actually played good defense. Celebration. There, not only those 3s in the second quarter, there was a moment in the third quarter where the Knicks had gone up by 15 or 16, and the Bulls rattled off a 7-0 run and had cut it to either 8 or 7. And Jalen Brunson came down. Yeah, Jalen Brunson came down and then hit a 3 to get it back to, I think it was 9 or 10. And then the Knicks put it away from there. But, like, that was a big 3 in the moment because the Knicks hadn't scored a field goal in a while. And the Bulls were like, you could tell they were starting to, okay, are we going to maybe make a run? Nope. And that's what Jalen Brunson has done all year. He's hit that big shot so many times this year. And thank goodness for that. Thanks, AE. Anthony Sixto, rough shooting for 30, but I love how he rerouted his energy to the boards and defense. Curry out, 8-game winning streak is not crazy. Hashtag 8 would be great. Hashtag Spreewell streak. I like that. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I jinxed them because I wrote today. It's funny. I'm looking at the final stat line. So I wrote today about Julius Randle's 3-point shooting and how, does the volume matter more than whether he makes? And obviously he needs to make a certain amount, but like he's hitting 34% from 3 this year, which is like, it's below league average. It's even below league average for his position for forwards. And it would be like around the 35th percentile for wings, which is really what he is for this team. But I was like, he's firing away from 3 and their offense is great when he's on the floor. So I don't really have an answer to the question, but it was funny because the stat that I found was that the Knicks were 7-0 this season when Julius Randle took 9 or more threes. And they were 0-4 when he took exactly 8 threes. Well, tonight, he took 8 threes. He made 2 of them, and they won. So, I don't know. Those stats probably don't mean much. But, yeah, good game by Randle. Thanks, Anthony. Robert Cross with another one. Is it fair and reasonable to say the Knicks will go on an 8-2 run to finish the year? If so, is a 50-win season a given? I mean, we're already getting ahead of ourselves, but what the fuck? Why not? Let's have some fun here. So the games the Knicks have left this year: at Indiana on Sunday, Golden State, no Steph Curry on Tuesday, Toronto on Toronto. Toronto Wednesday, Chicago again on Friday, and then Philly at Dallas, at San Antonio, at Houston. So those are the games. So you think the Knicks are going to go 8-2 during that stretch? I'm guessing Robert thinks the Knicks are going to lose at Dallas, and I don't know what else. I don't even know what you think they're going to win every game. Look, they're playing well enough right now where they could beat any team on any court. That's the reality. They just whatever the record is, it is. What I liked about Fred Katz's column today, and he wrote about the Knicks defense, is he made sure to put in there, like, look, at some point the Knicks are going to get toasted from 3 because it's the NBA. Everybody gets toasted from 3 every now and then. And that's okay, though, because they have an identity where I think we're pretty sure that they're going to rebound from that. The difference between now and early in the season is when they were having those games, like the Dallas game, like the Cavs game, like the Celtics game, like the Thunder game, where they were getting toasted. It was happening so often where you weren't chalking it up to, oh, it's random luck and this and that. And that's because there wasn't that foundation. You just had no confidence that it was going to get better with any sort of regularity. Now, 6 in a row, and even before that, they had started to put it back together. I think we're going to wind up looking back at the OKC game at home as the turning point, and maybe we're going to wind up looking at that Dallas second half as more like an aberration. I feel like that's where this is going, and I know, like, they didn't play well on defense against Portland, and I know they gave up, they kind of let go of the rope against in Phoenix and in Golden State. Those were great offensive teams when they played those games. But I think really the OKC game was the turning point. I do. And the numbers back that up because they have one of the best defenses in the league since that game. And certainly one of the best in the league since the Dallas game. Thanks, Robert, as always. Next up, Dan Hidalgo. What's going on, Dan? Appreciate the generous contribution. Last year, I compared Grimes to a young Booker. Oh, my goodness. Wednesday, I called him franchise altering. Is it possible? I haven't been effusive enough in my praise. Hashtag Grimes Square. Hashtag Optimus Grimes. Hashtag Quentin 3.0. Oh, my God. The last one got me. Quentin 3.0. Look, I think Quentin Grimes has a chance to be one of the most important role players in the NBA. And is that putting a ceiling on him that he doesn't deserve? Maybe. We were talking about this on the halftime Zoom. Like, he doesn't run he doesn't run pick and rolls at this level. He ran pick and rolls early on in college. We saw him run pick and rolls in summer league. Like, he's not if the question is I was talking to Kevin Danishevsky about this offline, what does he do bad? Well, he doesn't do anything bad. It's just that he doesn't generate offense. Devin Booker, he's one of the most creative and consistent generators of offense in the entire NBA. That said, role players make all-star teams sometimes. It happens. I don't want to put a ceiling on him. If you told me Quentin Grimes is going to average 20 a game someday, maybe sooner than we think, on the right team where he just gets a ton of shots and he gets a ton of minutes, I wouldn't doubt that. And maybe there is some untapped creation potential as probably a secondary, tertiary initiator. It's two-way magic. Guy takes nothing off the table. Nothing. And that comes down to he's not Reggie Bullock because you can't just run him off the line because he kills you on drives. Not only with the finishes, which, oh my God, are his finishes astoundingly beautiful, but with the pass, too, on drives. He knows how to pass. He knows when to pass. He knows where to pass. Takes nothing off the table. So, yeah. Good job, Dan. Thanks. Next up, Christian Cruz. Once again, Quentin Grimes. I love the Grimes love. Makes me so happy. But it's tough. I think I've called him my favorite Knick, but I also love Brunson. It's tough. It's close. Thanks, Christian. Janky AF. D Rose's 3 was the icing on the cake. Go Knicks. Thanks, KFS. Thank you, Janky. Appreciate it, man. It's a lot of icing on that cake right now. A lot of icing. Rowan Beckford Sr. Great win. Can we talk about Julius Randle's defense and rebounding? We absolutely can talk about Julius Randle's defense and rebounding. He got 12 rebounds tonight. 2 on the offensive glass, 10 on the defensive glass. He is rebounding tenaciously right now. I didn't get a chance to look it up. I don't know if Andrew, if you're watching or listening, if you want to tap into the old KFS stat head account. But the Knicks had 13 steals tonight. When's the last time the Knicks had 13 steals? Randle with 3, Brunson with 3, Mitch with 2, Deuce with 2, and then a bunch of guys with 1. But Randle, I'll say it again. It's the most frustrating player I've ever had to root for. Because this is in there. This is in there. It's always been there. Is he ever going to be the most aware defender? No, but you can mitigate that. And I'll give another shout out to Fred Katz for his article on the Knicks defense today, because he had a great quote in there from Julius Randle in which he was talking about how that they're switching more now. It plays into his strengths and he feels more comfortable doing that. And why are they being able to switch more now? Because of the personnel. Because the personnel they have in the game allows the coaching staff, allows Tibbs to feel more comfortable allowing them to switch. That and the old scheme was probably going to get him fucking fired. So yeah, it's working. It's playing into Julius' strengths on defense. He seems motivated. Certainly seems motivated. Like, all of it's good. I mean, this guy's an all-star that we're watching. It's pretty simple. Kevin McEwen, my main man. Thank you, brother. 6-game win streak. Let's go. On the other side, what did Cam do to not even get garbage time minutes? We've talked about this before. I'll get back to it. Let me read the rest of the comments. Does that hurt his trade stock? Is he gone? Not a fan, but him not getting any burn tonight looked bad. I don't think it looked bad at all. I'm going to push back here a little bit. For one, he is gone. Gone. So gone. Like, he's never played. Barring a rash of injuries that I'm not sure I could fathom, Cam is never getting another minute for this team. and he's going to be traded. And like, look, I know he stood there in front of the microphones and said, it's news to me, requesting a trade. Nobody ever reported that he requested a trade. What's been reported consistently is that he would like to be in a different situation where he could be the sort of player he thinks he is. And the most recent reporting has said him and his representatives are working to find him a new home, or his representatives and the team, are working to find him a new home. When it's over, it's over. Him sitting on the bench doesn't hurt his trade stock because his trade stock wasn't that high when he was playing well, when he was playing 35 minutes a night for this team. They tried to move him then, and nobody wanted to give them what they wanted. And what do they want? They wanted a first-round pick, even a protected. They basically just wanted what they paid for him, and they would have been happy to get that. No one wanted to give them that. So it's not like it materially hurt his trade stock, and I think that's why they ultimately made the decision that they did. And it was never like, I'm thinking of like what's the this scientific relationship between this is a bad analogy, but like when like a parasite like latches onto a host, when there's that like connection, there was never that real connection between like Cam and the team. Yes, he was playing well for a while. Yes, he filled a role for them. Yes, he was hitting some threes, made some big shots, attacked closeouts really nicely. Again, played some nice defense. I never got the feeling like, okay, he had inundated himself to the point where he had made himself part of the core. It was always, for me, and I may be in the minority, for me, was more like, okay, he's doing enough that we have to see more. 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 And then that led to the Dallas game. Was it a little bit of a quick hook? You could argue it was. Can you argue with the results since that quick hook? No, you cannot. And I don't think whether he plays 5 minutes of garbage time versus not playing 5 minutes of garbage time doesn't matter one iota in terms of his trade value. Just like it doesn't matter one iota for Evan Fournier's trade value. It just doesn't matter. Teams know what they are, these guys. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. Busy. Julius Randle helped defense. Even RJ was solid on D. He was. If those twos don't shame themselves, how can we lose? P.S. Does the MSG camera guy know something? They kept leaving the camera on Levine for extended time. Yeah, I mean, who are our weakest defenders right now? Do they have a real weak defender? I guess you'd say Hartenstein. And that's unfortunate because he's not a bad defender. He's a bad defensive rebounder, and he's not Mitch. And because he's not Mitch, he looks worse than he is because he's being compared to one of the 5 best defensive centers in the league. And maybe that's underselling him. We may, I don't know. We may have to, like, what's the Barkley meme? We need to have a conversation. Or it's time to start a dialogue or whatever that thing is. Like Mitch, day in and day out, game in, game out, defensively, he is the subtle, he's the foundation that props everything up. Because whatever's going on around the perimeter, teams know that dude's back there. And that he's corralling pick and rolls. And the only way you could really get him is with a stretch 5. And, Vooch got some good looks up tonight, just like he got some good looks up in the last game. Vucevic tonight was 1 of 3 from deep. Like, the Knicks are going to live with, if you're going to beat Mitchell Robinson because you have a stretch 5 and, like, that's how you're going to get us, they'll live with that. Because that's the scheme that they play, and they're betting that there's no stretch 5 out there that could hit threes consistently enough. And, like, maybe when they play certain stretch 5s, like the dude down in Washington who's having himself a decent year, although he's not hitting a lot of threes, maybe that's a different story. But, like, for the most part, when Mitch is playing like this, it's incredible. I like how your question wasn't even about Mitchell Robinson, and I'm like pontificating about Mitchell Robinson. Just because when I think about their defense and all the good things they're doing defensively, I feel like we need to highlight Mitchell Robinson because he really is the backbone for all of it. And I don't want anything to do with Zach LaVine. just for the record. All right, next up, Kevin Danishevsky. Of course. What took you so long? What is there to say about Quentin Grimes? Again, no better pick value for value than Quentin Grimes since maybe Wilson Chandler. RJ's process, much better in the second half. Chandler... Oh, I'm going to look like an idiot here. I want to say Wilson Chandler was the 21st pick in the draft. I'm going to look bad if I'm very far off on that. 23rd pick. Okay, I wasn't that far off. I don't feel that bad. Grimes 25, Chandler 23. Let's see what happens. I mean, Chandler's a really good player. Mostly a really good player for other teams in the NBA. But like that dude topped out as a 15 point per game, 5 rebound, 2 assists. Never all defense caliber defense, but like good, solid defense. Quentin Grimes is a better defender than Wilson Chandler. He's a better shooter than Wilson Chandler. Different game is played now, but better shooter. Different offensive game. Wilson Chandler was like, he could score in some ways. Now, I think Quentin Grimes could score in a lot of those same ways. We just haven't seen it yet at the pro level, at least. So I have a feeling we may have to go back further for like best Nick value draft pick than Chandler. And I wonder how far back we have to go. Thanks, Kev. Next up, Build Through Taj. Great name. Do you think it's possible that these Gordon rumors are being leaked by the Knicks to lower expectations for when they do nothing and keep this exact rotation? No, I think the Gordon thing was old news. And I think Jake Fisher, who's a fantastic reporter, kind of admitted it was old news because he, like, if again, go back and read that story carefully, he made it pretty clear a couple things. One, the Knicks were very active and trying to get a deal done before the aggregation deadline of December 9th. And they were early active on the phones, or active early on the phones, I should say. And then he said that he wrote that they tried, they kicked the tires on Gordon, but that it was clear the Rockets wanted a first round pick. The implication being the Knicks were trying to get him for something less than a first round pick. And then the Rockets were like, well, no, we want a first round pick. And that was, maybe as far as that conversation actually went. I think the Knicks are going to make a trade. I think it's going to be a trade with the Lakers. And I think Cam Reddish is going to be in LA, and we'll see what the other moving parts are. But I think that's going to be the trade that winds up happening. I don't think they care about the expectations. I really don't. But I will stick with what I've said pretty much the whole season. I would still be surprised if we passed the trade deadline and the Knicks did not make a move that impacted the current rotation. More likely bringing someone in than maybe trading out someone who's a current member of this healthy rotation that we are watching right now. But that's my gut feeling. So we'll see. Thanks, Build Through Taj. Again, great name. Bernard Richardson. What's going on, Bernard? Imagine the feeling of being an opponent on the court, out of breath, and seeing Deuce at the table to check in. Comment of the night so far. Thank you for that, Bernard. I had that thought when he came in the third quarter, right? Because, like, the Bulls were clearly up against it with whatever was going on with the Knicks were doing. And then there comes that fucking guy. Ooh, boy. Can't be fun. McBride was a plus 11 in 14 minutes tonight. I want to go back and look and see how many points the Bulls scored during those 14 minutes he was in the game. Probably not many. Dan Hidalgo, we're 3 games over 500. Go New York, go New York, go. This is pretty cool. I'm looking at the standings. Knicks are 5.5 games back of the Boston Celtics. How you like them apples? They're half a game back of Philly, who's in 5th. Philly won tonight. Would have been cool if Philly lost and we were in. So Brooklyn and Philly both won tonight. Brooklyn, I believe, won on a last-second shot from Kyrie. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew's telling me the Knicks are up to 8th in defense. 8th. They were 26th 12 days ago. 12. 6 games. They went from 26th to 8th. Oh, my God. That's hysterical. How do you not laugh at that? Anyway, so yeah, Kyrie game-winning shot, I guess, or last-second shot or something. Philly beat the Stephless Warriors. So both those teams won, and the Knicks are a half a game behind Philly and a game and a half behind the Nets. And Cleveland also won tonight. So the Knicks are, not that we should be worrying about catching any of these teams, but they're 2.5 behind the Cavs. On the other end of the spectrum, you got Miami, Indiana, and Atlanta in a 3-way tie for 7th at 15 and 15. Atlanta also won tonight. They beat the Hornets. The Miami Heat won last night against the Rockets, and the Pacers lost tonight to the Cavs. Be curious to see if the Pacers start to fall out of it. That's the opponent on Sunday. We'll see if we can keep their losing streak going. That would be nice. Losing streak. They've lost 1 in a row, but largely they've been losing. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. And then the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors at 13 and 16, 3 games under 500. We have not yet faced the Raptors this season, and I would be lying if I said I was not a little bit worried. And we're facing them after the Golden State game, and then we face them again in Toronto on January 6th. I'm still worried about that team, the Raptors. I know things are not going well for them right now. They are 4-6 in their last 10, but they've lost 4 in a row. They just haven't been really good all year. The Knicks are 3 games up on them. I just feel like they're going to turn it around at some point, or they're going to make a move to improve themselves. Or who knows? Maybe your jury decides to blow it up. Nothing would shock me. And then now we're 4.5 games up on the Bulls, who are sitting in 11th. So, I mean, talk about feeling pretty good about the play-in at the very least. But this team now, I think the aspirations have to be different. Why shouldn't they be? Thanks, Dan, for making me go on that little standings-related diatribe. Appreciate it. Dylan Courier, do you regret saying last year that we should dump Randall? Great question. Do I regret it? I don't really regret anything I say, because everything I say I think through, and I have reasons for, and I have evidence for, but you can't know the future. I did not anticipate seeing this version of Julius Randle ever again on defense. And we're seeing it. And I thought Brunson would have a positive effect on him. Did not think it would be this positive effect. I was wrong there as well. So that's 2 things I was wrong on. But mostly, I was just very afraid of the downside risk. And I didn't really have regrets 2 weeks ago. And Randall was still putting up really nice offensive numbers, and the team was scoring a lot of points with him on the floor. And I still had no regrets, because I really felt that he was at the heart of a lot of their defensive issues. 2 weeks later now, yeah, I mean, I think I was wrong. I'll say that. I was wrong. And it's good that they did not, attach a protected first-round pick to dump him or whatever it was, because now they're in a situation where this is a guy that has real value. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I have to say it. He's going to be in the All-Star conversation if he keeps playing like this. Again, we're 29 games in. The Knicks are in 6th place. If they can maintain this position in the standings for another 10 or so games, and for those next 10 or so games, Julius Randle continues putting up the numbers that he is putting up, you're going to have to reckon with the Julius Randle All-Star conversation. I shouldn't phrase it like that. That'd be awesome if he's in the All-Star conversation. There's no downside to that. I'd be a little upset if he got the All-Star nod over Jalen Brunson. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't think the Knicks are getting 2 All-Stars. But at this rate, if you gave me the over/under on 0.5, how many All-Stars are the Knicks going to get? I'd bet the over. And I think there's a decent chance it's Randle, and that's not crazy. That's not crazy. He's been that good offensively, and the defense is now coming around. So, good question, Dylan. I appreciate that. Akash Trivetti. Great team win all around. Quick will bounce back. Bigger question is what happens when Obi returns from his injury? Who loses their spot? I can't believe you well, one elephant in the room. The Quickly thing is not an elephant in the room. I'm just like, it is a little worrisome. Like I don't want to say he's lost his confidence, but like it is unnerving to see his approach to the game right now, where he's just not playing, at least in terms of taking shots. He's not playing with any level of decisiveness. I still think he is passing well on offense. I think he's, making good reads. Defensively, he's still off the charts. Like, he's still playing really well, but his indecision and hesitancy with the ball in his hands is just like something is going on. And I don't know if it's that his name has been in trade rumors or whatever, but like it's a little worrisome. The Obi thing, look, have the Knicks won 6 games in a row because Obi Toppin's not in the lineup? Well, no, because he was in the lineup for the first couple of those games. But they look good with Sims. I can't believe I'm saying this again. They're playing 2 fucking centers. And they look good doing it because Sims, the way he moves on the perimeter at his size, that switch he had tonight on Alex Caruso, where he forced Alex Caruso to, like, Alex Caruso was trying to get around him. Alex Caruso was doing nothing. And Sims was staying close enough to him that Alex Caruso couldn't just back up and take a 3 over Sims's grove because Sims was kind of like right up on him. And then Caruso went to pass the ball and Deuce stole it and got the layup and the end one. And on the offensive glass with those 2 bigs in there, it's a big advantage. On the defensive glass, it's a big advantage. It's working right now. Listen, when Obi's back, he's going to play if he's still on the team. But like, I say that purposefully. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like, would I be shocked if they were listening to calls now on Obi Toppin? I wouldn't be shocked. I have no knowledge about whether they are. And if you want to tell me like, oh, that would be an atrocious decision by them to be caught up in the moment right now and whatnot. But like, they've listened to trade calls on every other fucking player on the roster outside of Jalen Brunson. Why wouldn't they listen to trade calls on Obi Toppin? Again, I don't think they should do anything there. I think they should get Obi back, get him healthy, get him involved with what they're doing. He could fit in just fine as a backup on this team right now. I know they would have a little bit of a drop off on defense, but I think he would pick them up in other areas. I think the shot's going to be fine, but like, is it a little bit of an elephant in the room? It's a small elephant. Is it like a Dumbo-sized elephant in the room right now? A little bit. Thanks, Akash. Greg Moran, what's going on, Greg? Appreciate the generous contribution there. Bulls about to burn it all down. Might be the worst situation in the league. I like that. Refreshing to be in a much better place than another team. Jalen Brunson and Grimes for life. I mean, could you imagine if we were sitting here and we were 11-17 and we had we had all of these veterans and a top 4 pick, a top 4 protected pick owed to another team? Can you imagine what these post games would be like? I wouldn't have any hair left, either from pulling it out or losing it from stress. I don't even know what I would do. So yeah, let's enjoy this. Let's look on the bright side. Things are good comparatively. to not only the Bulls, but a lot of situations in the league. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Busy. PPS, the Bulls look like they hate each other. Yeah, they're in a terrible place right now. They just gave their coach a contract extension before the season, which was interesting. And that was reported. The circumstances of that and like how it was reported were like a little weird. The Levine thing is weird. That him and Donovan had the thing or whatever earlier this season, and he's on the first year of a 5-year extension, and he's not playing that great. And they got DeMar and they got Vooch. Like, it's a bad situation there right now. And for all we know, we may have just like, I don't know, is this the nail in their coffin? Like, they're only a game and a half back of Toronto, and then they're 3 games back of those teams that are all at 15 and 15. They're a game up on Washington. Like, they can still tank. Are they going to? It's man, I don't envy their situation at all. Thanks, Busy. Dom Cappuccini. # we here. Julius Randle back. It's not as if he had a few temper tantrums back then. His defense is far from elite, but the effort does seem more apparent. What's your take, John? My take on Julius Randle's defense is that if you put him in a switch scheme, and shout out to, I think it was Prez had a preseason thread on this about putting Julius Randle in a switch scheme and how there's no reason that he can't switch, 2 through 5. If he's engaged, like he said, he's a good enough athlete. If you're switching, and here's the other key. If you're switching him and you have enough other defenders on the court where the odds are that the switch is involved with a Brunson, or a Grimes or a Quickly or a McBride, or dare I say even a Barrett, like if those two can get their shit together, like when the other guy involved in the switch is on his crossing his T's and dotting his I's, it makes a big difference. And I think I feel really good about his defense right now. I don't if he's going to keep trying, but again, we saw him try really hard 2 years ago, and then last season he stopped trying. And now this season he wasn't trying, and now he's trying again. Is it going to sustain? I don't have a crystal ball, but we'll see. Thanks, Dom. Appreciate it as always, man. Dom the dentist, this is tantamount to pornography. That is the new best tweet of the night. Yes. Knicks OnlyFans school. Robert Cross. RJ Barrett says hello with 27 points. Kevin Danishevsky. # 53 wins. # we back. All right. Am I going to piss people off by saying what I really feel? I did not think RJ Barrett had a good game. I know he finished with 27. I know he was a team high plus 28. I thought he had. Let me rephrase that. I think he had a great game. 27 points on 20 shots. He missed 5 free throws. Got to the line 11 times, though. I don't think he had a great game. I think he had a solid game. But I think there were, some of the moments where you're like, okay, don't love that from RJ. I do my stars of the weekend when there's 2 games during the weekend, not stars of the game. Would RJ get a star as of right now after that game? Would he be one of the stars of the game? Brunson's getting one of them. Grimes getting one of them. Would he be the third guy? I don't know. He might be. Randall's close, though. I got to tell you, Randall's close. Randall's defense was that good. And Mitch had a nice game, too, we should say. 4 offensive rebounds. And really good work on the defensive glass. So, I don't know. It's close between Barrett, Mitch, and Randall for me, for the third best player of that game. Andrew's texting me, I owe Julius a star. I do owe Julius a star. It's a bad job by me. Matt Smith, don't mind me running to the ticket window to place my Tibbs Coach of the Year bet. I tell you what he is going to be in the running for and what I would actually be. I mean, we'll see how they do the rest of the month, but I believe the NBA gives out Coach of the Month awards, and he is certainly in the running for Coach of the Month. I mean, I'll look it up right now as I'm talking to you guys, where the Knicks are at since December 1st. But like, he's really turned this thing around. He's really turned this thing around, and I think the one thing that I'll say here's the Knicks in the month of December. Net rating, second best in the league to Memphis. Offense in December, 15th offense in the league. Defense, first in the league. They're about 0.5 points per 100 possessions ahead of the Grizzlies. The next closest team, Cleveland Cavaliers, 6.1 points per 100 possessions behind the Knicks. So the Knicks defensively in the month of December, 7 games. That includes the Mavs game, by the way. They are 6.1 points per 100 possessions better than the third place team. I think rumors of the death of Tom Thibodeau's defensive scheme were greatly exaggerated. Although the scheme that they're running right now is different than the scheme that they were running for much of the year because of the additional switching, which is in itself because of the lineup changes and the rotation changes. It allows them to do more of that. So it's all good stuff. I don't know how you complain about Tibbs right now. You know. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Keith, I'm so happy right now. This is what Knicks basketball is supposed to look like. I mean, if you are either in your, let's see if I can get this right. If you're in your late 50s, early 60s, or late 60s, if you're at least in your late 50s, right? Or let's say probably over 60. How old do you have to be to really remember the championship teams? Yeah, you could be in your late 50s, right? And remember those teams. So if you're at least in your late 50s, or if you're like me and you're in your mid to late 30s or older, this is what Knicks basketball is supposed to be. If you're someone who is like 30, or 30 or younger, this is like new for you. This in 2 years ago was new for you, and now this is like back to that. So yeah, I don't know, but this is what I think of when I think of Knicks basketball. Last 20 years be damned. Thanks, Keith. Busy peeps. I still want to trade Julius Randle. That's all. Good night. Listen, what can you get for him? What can you get for him? It's the question. It's always going to be the question. Always was the question. The question never changed. Good night, Busy. Thank you for the contributions as always. Look forward to seeing you on the town hall whenever we'll do one of those pretty soon. Juanon winning 6 straight with 2 coming on the road, back-to-back in Chicago. Hot seat to hashtag Tibbs Sanity. What is going on? Side note, is that hood glued to Cam's head? Same glue Marbury used for his towel. Oh, my goodness. It's not a matter of if. It's just when. Cam will find a new home, and I hope he gets playing time there. I'll be rooting for Cam wherever he goes next. I mean that. I'll be rooting for Cam wherever he goes next. I think he's got potential. I think he's a legitimate, like a 3. I think he could be a good 3-and-D player in the league with some upside. I worry about the inconsistency. Zach Lowe in this morning's 10 Things column made kind of an offhanded comment about Kelly Oubre Jr. and how he doesn't even blink anymore with I think what was the stat line he made up, 9 for 27, shooting nights from Kelly Oubre Jr. or whatever. If I had to bet on it right now, if Cam ever does get significant minutes for a team and has like a bigger role, I could see him going kind of that route, like the Oubre Jr. path. And Oubre, like Cam, was like a big time recruit, ended up going 15th in the draft or 14th in the draft, just outside the lottery, like clearly showed signs, but was like tantalizing for a while. And then for a while, kind of played within himself, dedicated himself to like the finer points of the game, like became like an actual good defender instead of a theoretically good defender. Like he started hitting his threes, and now he's, feeling himself a little bit more on a Hornets team that's, doesn't have the doesn't have the troops, so he gets to kind of sow his wild oats, so to speak. Like I could see that sort of a career path for Cam. But I'll be rooting for him. Thanks, Juanon. Appreciate it. Bernard Richardson with one more. FYI, Biggie Bagel won the Dunkin' Donuts virtual relay race during the first third quarter timeout. I know you wouldn't want to miss the fun in-game entertainment. I wish, and shout out to Justin who's producing tonight. I love you, Justin. I wish Andrew Claudio was here so we could pop in and make fun of me for completely hating on these sorts of things. Biggie Bagel? Biggie Bagel? That's the fucking name they came up with? I don't know who that's more disrespectful to. Biggie Smalls or Bagels? Biggie Bagel. Get the fuck out of here. Thank you, Bernard. Robert Cross with one more. First time, long time, John. This team is going to the goddamn Eastern Conference Finals. Don't make me blow up your spot by reading what you DM'd me during the game about who the only teams in the East unequivocally better than the Knicks. I don't even have to say what they are. Everybody knows that. Hashtag 53 wins. Hashtag we back. Hashtag giddy up. Look, here's where the conversation can be right now. You want to know where the conversation can be right now? Here's where the conversation can be right now. Can the Knicks win a playoff series? How about that? You want to have some fun? You want to dance? Let's dance, motherfucker. Can the Knicks win a playoff series? I don't know that I feel comfortable saying yes, because if the top 5 of the East holds true to form, and I think it will, I think the top 5 of the East, barring injury or big trades, are going to wind up being, in some order, Boston, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Brooklyn, Philly, and then, well, those would be the top 5. Let's say the Knicks get 6th, or maybe they fall down to 7th or 8th, whatever. They get in there as the 6th or 7th or 8th seed, right? Maybe even they go freaking nuts and they get to the 5th or 4th. To sit here and say that they're going to beat one of those 5 teams, I don't know that I have that in me right now. And I am a lunatic when it comes to this team. I look for every reason to be optimistic. I don't know that I could do that right now. Hope I'm wrong. And maybe I'll change my tune. Or maybe they make a trade to make me change my tune, which I know you wouldn't like that, Robert. Thank you. True statement. Thank you for the contribution. Can't help but think once Toppin gets back that Sims will go back to the bench considering the 9-man rotation. What combo would you rather have? Oh, I was hoping nobody would answer me this question. Hart and Sims, Hart and Toppin, or Toppin and Sims? I feel bad saying it, but it's kind of obvious. It's Toppin and Sims. Toppin and Sims. I like Hart. They're still not utilizing his skill set, and I can't blame him for that because what they're doing is working. But this is not the guy that they're paying, that they got, from LA. This is a different player, right? He's doing a commendable job given what he's asked to do. But there are things he's better at than Jericho Sims, to be clear. And look, I'll be honest, there's a part of me that would give consideration to just sticking with the way things are, because the reality is, for as much as we lament the Knicks turning Obi Toppin into essentially a wing, a 3-and-D wing, like if he's gonna be on the floor, he's gonna shoot threes. That's just the reality of the situation. That's the way that their backup unit is built because they play a traditional 5. Could they do more spacing by sending Hardenstein to the corner and having Obi, be the screen setter, for high pick and rolls? Yes. He's not as good of a screen setter. And like for all the talk about like that's the best usage of him, I still want to see him eventually without a big man on the floor, but that's not going to be on this team. I'm getting off track here. Look, I think it's a tough question. My answer is Toppin and Sims, with a very, very close honorable mention to Hardenstein and Sims, because I think that combination is working right now. But I do not want Sims to go back to the bench. I want that dude to play. He's good. 58th pick. 58th pick. Danny K, go Knicks. Enjoy the wins. Beating one of the hated franchises back-to-back on their home court is the highlight of the season. This has been pretty fun. This has been pretty fun. Yeah, I for me, because I came in to my Knicks fandom, like I remember 92, 93, but I became a Knicks fan in 93, 94. And the Bulls battles were really before that. I mean, obviously they played them in the 94 playoffs and beat them. And then they played them 2 years later, and they lost in 5 in the first round. That was the 72 win Bulls team. So like for me, the Bulls, as far as rivalries, are like definitely lower than the Pacers and the Heat, without question. But like it's still good to beat them. Like they're still an old rival. So yeah, I appreciated that. Thanks, Danny. GD Nation, I told you to give them a chance. All the I told you so's, they should put that shit in all caps, man. Yell that from the rooftops. Because, especially to me, because I'm supposed to be the calm one. I'm supposed to be the one that fights back in the face of overreactions. I'm supposed to be the one that like isn't pressured into doom and gloom when it seems like one game or 2 games or however many games just really isn't going their way. And I was I just really had a very bad feeling. I did, and I think, not to make excuses for myself, but I had a really, 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 really bad feeling coming off the summer with how the whole Mitchell thing went down. I do think they lost control of it, and I think it left them shook within the franchise. I truly believe that it left them shook. And when the games started to turn in the way that the games were starting to turn, yeah, I was all, I did not have any faith. I just didn't. And so if you did, good job by you, really. And you should be proud of it because this team is good and they figured it out. Took some trials and tribulations, but they figured it out. Thanks, GD. Brad Schenker. I hope I got that right. First time, long time. What do you think it would take for this fan base to fully buy in like the We Here season? I think the youngins could make it better. It's funny because like we think of the We Here season in a certain type of way because of how it ended, the regular season in particular. Keep in mind that team it's an important distinction. They had the lowest over-under win total in the entire league. They were picked to finish last. Dead last. So to start the year for like the first 15, 20 games, maybe even more than that, every win felt like a minor celebration. And then we recalibrated, and then there was the Rose trade. And then there was, in that middle portion of the season, there was more consternation than you may remember. I remember it. With every loss that Elfrid Payton would play any minutes at all, there was a lot of like, oh, what the, no, this is bullshit, this and that. And then the 9-game winning streak happened, and it solidified that team's place in the hearts and minds of Knicks fans everywhere for a very long time. So like, my point in going through that is I'm not sure it's fair to compare the two, because coming into this year, like, yes, there were a lot of people who were like, what the fuck are we doing as a franchise? Especially after the whole Mitchell thing and how that went down. But like, they still had an over-under of whatever it was, 41 games. So different expectations. Now, it went so bad and the negativity was so high, and this is still so fresh. We're not even 2 weeks from what I feel like was, without question for me personally, the lowest point of this regime, and the lowest point I had been at, talking about this team since Steve Mills was here. So it's still new, it's still fresh. So like, what would it take for them to fully buy in? I don't know, another, like, to that level, or where that team was by the end of that year. I don't know, another couple of weeks like this. I mean, it's 6 games, right? It's 6 games, and if you want to extend it to 16 games, which is from after the OKC game, if you want to go back that far, but like, there was still some like not so great stuff in the midst of that too. Give me another couple of good weeks, maybe New Year's around them. If they win the games they're supposed to win, maybe have another surprise or two, maybe beat one of these teams, like a decent team, maybe screw around and sniff a top 4 seed around New Year's. Then I think you're there. Then I think you're probably there. Because as you say, they're doing it with the kids. So good question, Brad. I really appreciate that. That made me think there. Stevens Guillaume, what's going on, Steven? 6 wins in a row. They finally figured it out. Side note, Mitch for Defensive Player of the Year, or at least making one of the teams this season. It's tough because only 2 centers make those teams. Now, is Gobert an automatic? Again, my handy dandy, I was going to make some kind of a joke. My handy dandy phone. The Knicks are currently 8th in defense. The Minnesota Timberwolves and their starting center, Rudy Gobert, are 13th in defense. You figure most people are going to automatically just like default to Gobert for one of the spots. Embiid's going to be in there, as he should be. And Philly right now is 3rd in defense. Embiid is obviously a monumental part of what they do defensively. So that's 2 guys right there. Brook Lopez, Milwaukee Bucks, 2nd in overall defense. He is probably ahead of Mitch in the running right now. Cleveland, I have a feeling Mobley may get because they're the best defensive team in the NBA. But Jared Allen will be heard from. But Mobley, a forward spot. Anthony Davis, hopefully he would get one of the forward spots as well. Jaren Jackson Jr. probably gets one of the forward spots as well. So, but again, these are all forward spots. Do they? It's going to be tough. Bam, we haven't mentioned Bam, the Heat, 7th in defense. Yeah, he's going to have his work cut out for him to make one of those teams. I think I named all the centers that are really seriously in the running. But I don't think it's positionless, Andrew. Andrew's telling me it's positionless. I'm sure people in the chat are chiming in. I just feel like 2 centers make the team every year. And I know Bam and Embiid made the same team one year, but that's because Bam is eligible as a forward. I'm fairly certain. And I know like they've made Embiid and like Jokic eligible as forward. Like there's a lot of positional chicanery that goes on with the all NBA voting and all defense voting. Andrew, if you want to look that up, feel free. I could be wrong. I don't say this with 100% conviction, but I'm fairly certain there is some positional requirements for all defense. You can't just name anyone. Andrew says, well, then Embiid is a guard now. But he's going to have his either way. Honestly, even if it wasn't positionless, there's so many good defensive guards and wings in the league today. I think Mitch is going to have his work cut out for him. But like, look, he should get votes. You know, he's been really good. Thanks, Stevens. Josh B, do we put the nail in the coffin for the Bulls? Time to blow it up. The Knicks can realistically get 10 in a row. Wow. Is it still fire Tibbs, trade 30? Well, I'll give you one guess what my answer is on is it fire Tibbs time. No, just let's roll with this. Don't trade anybody. Don't fire anybody. Again, what's the offer? What's the offer? Is someone coming in there with like a Godfather, make you an offer you can't refuse type of deal for Randall? If they do, then they do. And that's great for the franchise. But like, I don't think they're looking for it right now. Do they put the nail in the coffin for the Bulls? Probably, but again, what are the Bulls going to do? Is the Lakers trade waiting on the table? Or are the Lakers waiting to send both of those picks to Chicago? I mean, if they are, I'd do it. But that's me. Because I don't even consider Vooch an asset. That's the thing. Like, Vooch to me is... I said it with Jason on the Bulls pod that we did yesterday. Or today. I genuinely am not sure Vooch gets the mid-level this summer. And that might sound crazy for a guy who's a multi-time All-Star, who was like top 10 in a bunch of advanced stats several years in a row. I just don't know if you're a team that's trying to win a championship. Where does Nick Vucevic fit into your plans? So, like, essentially that trade is DeRozan for the 2 future firsts. And, like, that's pretty good value for DeRozan. I'd do that if I was the Bulls. Thanks, Josh. Hush Sue. I hate this team. Let me be miserable. No, you're not getting away that easy. Sorry, Hush. Thank you for the contribution. Robert Cross. I don't want Eric Gordon, and we don't need him. Hashtag 53 wins. Hashtag we back. Again, I don't think they should be doing anything right now. Just roll with this. See where it takes you. Have some fun. I love this. I don't want to make any changes. I'm not looking to trade anybody, trade for anybody. We're not trying to upset you, Robert. Rowan Beckford Sr., our D is shifty, down low, gritty, and Grimesy. Grimesy Onyx. Grimesy Onyx. Listen, I like that. Thank you, Rowan. Guy Huber then, as the driver of the Fire Tibbs bus. He's months late on things we all yelled about for months, but ultimately I must credit him 6 in a row. Nah, it's almost midnight. I'm not getting on a Tibbs soapbox right now. Yeah. I know it looks like it was that easy, right? Just everybody's saying, do this, put these kids in, play these kids in this way, and that's what you should be doing. And he's doing it, and it's that easy. So why didn't he do it last season? And everything else is noise and nonsense. It's a lot that goes into being an NBA head coach. And I say that having absolutely no knowledge of what goes into being an NBA head coach. But I know it's really hard. And I know it's really hard because they all seem to get fired all the time. Because job status for most of these guys and the job security is very short-lived, especially in this town. I tweeted it out this week. Go look at the Knicks franchise index. Go search for coaches and go sort them by winning percentage. And then look at the bottom. It's all guys, or mostly guys, from the last 20 years. It has been an impossibility to be a successful coach. And Schwinn pushed back on this when I tweeted that the other day. In fairness, it has also been an impossibility to be a competent front office. And good job by Leon Rose. I was very critical of Leon Rose and his regime and how they handled the summer and how they handled the season and the whole thing. They deserve all the credit too. The reason I would probably give a few more flowers to Tibbs is because as a coach, you do have to deal with things that are outside of your control. And well, obviously as a front office, not everything is in your control. You do have your hands on the steering wheel more so than the coach. So, yeah, I think it's okay. We give Tibbs some flowers. Thanks, Q Huber. TK, hush you with one more. On a serious note, Grimes is just chef's kiss. Couldn't agree more. Grimes is everything you could possibly want. 25th pick in the draft. What a draft pick. Seriously, what a draft pick that was. Good job, Walt Perrin, whoever was responsible for that pick. You take a bow. Take a serious bow. Thanks, Hush. Busy. I thought you were done, Busy. You're back for more. I have to disagree with you. Julius Randle and RJ has to be the biggest bright spots over Jalen Brunson and Grimes. Brunson and Grimes have been good all year. Julius Randle and RJ stepping in as the difference makers on this team. Okay, last one. Busy, all kidding aside, I can't thank you enough. You're incredibly generous, seriously. I understand what you're saying. Like, I'll never take anything for granted. That's the thing with me. And Brunson doing what he's doing, like the fact that we have a genuine leader and a star in his own way, and you just never have to worry about him off the court, on the court, and like same thing with Grimes to a lesser extent. But I hear what you're saying, and that's a fair point. And like ultimately, wherever this team is going to go, if it's any place good, whether they're on this team for the next 10 years or whether they're both traded in the next 6 months, Julius Randle and RJ Barrett have to be good. They have to be good. There's just no way around it. So, yeah, that's a very fair comment by you. I appreciate that. Forgotten NYC, surely late, but was Grimes starting a front office mandate? Why would no? I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe it was. Who the hell knows? But I think the reporting's been pretty clear that Tibbs has been in the one. Tibbs has been the one in Quentin Grimes' corner the most. Am I right about that, or am I missing something there? Listen to Tibbs talk about Grimes. Fred Katz came on my podcast 2 weeks ago, and I asked him, like, where does the internal positional, like internal pecking order amongst the young players in terms of like the asset valuation rankings go? And Fred Katz said in no uncertain terms, well, to Tom Thibodeau, Quentin Grimes is number one far and away. So I don't know why you would say that that's a front office man. This is one of those things, and I don't know if this was the purpose of your comment, but this is one of those things that does annoy me a little bit, where it seems like people are going out of their way to find reasons to take shots at a coach. And like, I don't know, just seems like a strange thing to do for a team that's won 6 in a row. But to each their own. Anyway, next up, David Crockett. What's going on, my boy David? When I looked at the box score, I was shocked that Randle didn't have 30 points. Tonight, he played so much better than just his shot. It's talk about the coach. That's a Tibbs line. You could play well without shooting well. Julius Randle played well without shooting well tonight. And credit to him for that, because, you know, one of the things that I think people get on or have gotten on, and correctly so, I would argue, is that the games where he like brings it on defense and this and that, they always tend to be those games, right, where he comes out and he's shooting well. But when he's not shooting well, you may not get that same level of effort. Tonight, you did. You got it. And let's also, one other thing, let's also not underestimate the fact that the end of that last game with Chicago, we talked about it. I wrote about it. Not a banner moment for Julius Randle. I personally wondered after that game, and I said it on the postgame, and it's why I said it. I worried about some repercussions and some after effects about how that would go down, where Randle tried to put it on his shoulders at the end, and it didn't work out, and whatever. What's done is done. Like, I worried, like, how would he respond to that? And for him to respond like he did tonight, just what more can you want? Can't want much more. So great comment there. Thank you, David. Luke Stone, what's going on, Luke? Julius couldn't hit a shot all night, but he was my favorite. This was my favorite game he played all year. I love this. I love all of the love that Julius is getting for the right reasons. And this is why we've said for a fucking year and a half, Julius, if you miss shots, we'll live with it. Just show us that you care. And you're going to get the love of real New York sports fans. And he deserves it. But now I'm back to my same problem. So what? RJ doesn't get a star for this game? I guess not. No, I think Julius deserves it. Frank Sound, what's going on, Frank? Brunson is the Randle cure. # more than a player. I not to get too far off track, but I recorded a Patreon pod earlier today, and it was a mailbag pod. We asked for general questions. Shout out to all of our patrons about the NBA. And somebody asked a great question about how long I thought it took to establish a culture within an NBA team. And my answer was, I don't think it's a matter of time. I think it's a matter of who. As in, do you have the right culture setter? And I gave some examples like Pat Riley going to Miami, Greg Popovich going to San Antonio, but he needed Duncan with him. Because, like, what would Greg Popovich be if they didn't get Duncan? Like, we don't know. Like, what if they had drafted Keith Van Horn instead? What if they got the number 2 pick? But, like, go up and down the list of great culture guys in the NBA in recent years. Dame, Steph, going back a little further, like, Dirk. I mentioned Timmy. And there's other guys, that are out there today who are really great. Ja Morant's awesome culture guy. Clearly, that team freaking loves him. Like, I'm not sure. It's tough to be that level of culture setter when you're not clearly, like, all at the very least, an all-star caliber guy. Ideally, you're an all-NBA caliber guy. Have we seen it before, though? If you could probably, I would have to really go back and look, but I think the point is, yes, you're right. Brunson is more than a player to us. And I do think he has been instrumental in setting that culture. And Julius Randle has benefited for that. So, yeah, good comment there, Frank. Dr. Beer, fantastic and infuriating at the same time to see Randle play this kind of defense. Why, Julius? Why? He cares. He cares. He's bought in. He is an emotionally volatile player that right now is going good. And the organization has to ask themselves, will it continue? And how confident are they that it will continue? But I get it. It's frustrating. Absolutely frustrating. Thank you, Dr. Beer. Delsky, what's going on, Delsky? May the big man upstairs and my fellow Knicks please forgive me for what I'm about to say, but I don't need Obi to come back anytime soon. I need this hot streak to continue. Hashtag giddy up. I said it was the elephant in the room. It's just, again, small elephant right now. And I really don't want this to turn into like they're winning games because Obi Toppin isn't in there. Because I really don't believe that's the case. But like, it is tough to ignore the level of defense that they're playing. It really is. But but again, you could go back further. Like, since the OKC disaster in Madison Square Garden over a month ago, a span of 16 games, the Knicks are 5th in defense from that point. Obi Toppin was in the rotation for 75% of those games. 5th in defense over that time. And a hair behind the Sixers for 4th in that time. And not even that far behind the Pelicans for 3rd in that time. So, like, we've seen this team be very good with Obi on the floor defensively. And offensively, I think we all know that dude is capable of a lot. Again, it's about unlocking him and using him the right way and all of those things and figuring out ways to make his skill set fit in with what they're doing well. And I don't think that that's an impossibility. I just think it's going to take some creativity, which has not always been a strong suit of this coaching staff, in fairness. Appreciate the comment, Delsky, and the contribution. Thank you. Hush Zoo with one more. It's trade 30 still, but I really like Grimes starting as the 2. RJ has been doing his thing. I don't really see what sort of trade they do to help this team. I mean, I think they're in the they're in a better position than they were 2 years ago. Because 2 years ago, we were like, well, can they trade for 1 star? Can Randall be the 2nd star? What is RJ? And like all those things. Now, I think everybody feels confident that, like, okay, Brunson's a dude. Brunson's a guy. Whether he's your 2 or you're like 2B or you're like 3A, like, he's one of your guys. So, and Grimes, right? And this defense first identity. Do you have to upgrade Randall or Barrett? Or do you have to upgrade Randall and Barrett? Does it matter how much you upgrade one or the other? Maybe it's only one upgrade. But I think at this point, is there a margin move around the edges that can improve this team? Yeah, I really do believe that. And I think it, like, again, nobody wants to hear the Eric Gordon stuff or whatever other names are going to be rumored between now and the trade deadline. But, like, there is a margin move that this team could probably make to upgrade. Might it involve one of, like, Quickly or Obi going out in a trade? Might, but could they get better? Sure. Is it worth it? And this is what I was going back and forth with Robert about earlier today. I said this on the intro to today's podcast, and I'll say it again. I don't think it's worth it. I think you ride with these kids. Ride with these kids until the wheels fall off. When we're talking about margin moves, I don't think a margin move is worth upsetting what you have going on. And with these young players getting the minutes they're getting and having the responsibility that they have and playing as well as they have, fitting within the scheme as well as they are, I don't believe that there's a margin move out there that would be worth upsetting that apple cart for. That's me. The front office may feel differently. So then you're left with, what do they do to help this team? Something big, and I don't know if that trade's going to be available. I don't think that trade's going to be available before the deadline. So my hope is that this is the team we're going to get for the rest of this year. I really do believe. I really hope this is the team we get for the rest of this year. Thanks, Hush. Matt, down under. So incredibly happy and humbled we have Brunson and Grimes on our team. Yes, that is nice. Incredible players. What are the odds we make the play-in versus the top 6? I have so much respect for Miami. If you're asking me 50-50, or is it better than 50-50 shot that they're 7th or higher? I would say yes, better than 50-50, better than 50-50. Andrew's texting me, let it go. You should have texted Andrew. If you were more creative, you would have texted me like a Elsa gif of her singing "Let It Go." I will never let. I have too much respect for Pat Riley. That's what it comes. I have too much respect for Pat Riley, and I have too much respect for Jimmy Butler. Those two guys. I don't give a goddamn about anybody else on the Heat. It's those two guys. So I can't say better than 50-50 top 6. So I would guess I would favor play-in. Maybe I'll feel differently in a few weeks. Kevin Danishevsky, you beat Jeremy. Oh, I did. Oh, yes. That had not even occurred to me. Thank you, Kevin. 2 in a row. That's a winning streak. Jalen, thank you, Kevin. Jalen Brunson is the best free agent signing since Allen Houston. Absolutely. I think he's the best free agent signing in team history. I don't say that lightly because Allen Houston was awesome. But I think Jalen Brunson's, for what he's done and for where they were and the whole thing, I think he's best in team history. Counting stats may not be there, but you can't tell the story of this game without D Rose equals a story of the game without D Rose, which means he's a Hall of Famer. I'm siding yes for Derrick Rose Hall of Famer, but I want to do a little bit more research to back it up. That's where I'm at right now, and I think that's where I'm going to come out. That's where I'm inclined to come out right now, but I want to look into it a little bit more. Thanks, Kev. Anton Cates, what's going on, Anton? Really appreciate very generous contribution from you. I said last week you can't fake 4 wins. What do we call 6? We look like a team, not a bunch of bodies. Not a bunch of bodies of bodies. I'm actually happy. I'm happy too. You should be happy. We should all be happy. I mean, what I hope, and this is how I'll know we've kind of crossed into the we here season territory. You know, let's say they go out on Sunday and the Pacers have one of those games from 3 and they just light it up. And the Knicks are playing pretty good defense and they're like helping off the right guys and the whole thing. But Halliburton and Mathurin and Buddy Hield, like, you want to talk about a team that could get hot from deep? Like, that team can get hot from deep. Miles Turner, right? We've seen that story before. And let's say they lose. Let's say they give up a decent amount of threes, a lot more than they've been giving up, and let's say they lose the game, right? It's going to be a test to see when I come on here after the game, is the tone still going to be pretty positive about, like, okay, things are still headed in the right direction, it's 1 loss, or is it going to be back to doom and gloom? Like, that's going to be the test. And it's also, needless to say, if they lose games, how are they going to lose the games? Is it going to be a team that's just like getting hot from 3, but the defense is respectable and the effort's clearly there and it's just like not your night, maybe you're not hitting shots, whatever? Or is there a big-time reversion back? I don't think we're getting that big-time reversion. Like, they're going to get beat. Teams are going to get hot against them. They're going to give up points. There are nights where they're not going to score because they don't have that kind of shooting. But I think the identity is real. I think this is real. Thank you, Anton. Matt Gutierrez, what's going on, Matt? Tonight's the first time in ages that I've genuinely felt proud of our squad. Wow. Thank you, Matt. That's awesome. I think this team is evolving before our eyes. I completely agree. I'm proud of them. It's cool to be a Knicks fan right now. Hear that, KD? It's cool to be a Knicks fan. Jeremy Blaustein. What's going on, Jeremy? Hey, from Japan. Wow. What time is it in Japan? Is it later? Is it earlier? Is it both? Julius is the consummate team player. Well, right now he is, that's for sure. I want to go to Japan. Ahmad Nuruddin. The Knicks are starting to show real synergy. Yes, they are. Good comment. Thank you, Ahmad. Eddie F. John is part of the reason the Delta is so big. Is part of the reason the Delta is so big is not just Quentin Grimes and Deuce playing great defense, but that Rose and Evan especially could not play D anymore. Fantastic question. Might be my new favorite question of the night. It's up there. So for anybody who doesn't know, the Delta, the change. I hate to put it on a couple guys. You got me thinking about this one. I mean, it's one of those ones where I'm going to be like, I think it's 60-40 in one direction or the other. I think Evan Fournier is a good basketball player, and he should be playing in the NBA for some team for 20 minutes a night. And they're gonna. I have a feeling they're gonna trade him. I have a feeling they will figure out a deal that gets Evan Fournier off this team this year. I bet you they do. And he will go somewhere. And I if it's a playoff team, I guarantee you he will play minutes in the playoffs, and he will have nights that where you're like, where the fuck was this guy? But that dude that we've seen at times throughout his career, even last year, that dude was not present on this team this year. He was a shell of a carcass of a basketball player. And I'm not even blaming him because, like, last year was a really rough year, and, like, how the summer went down where, like, he was just – there was no – it was very clear that he was, like, the salary they were going to put in the Mitchell trade, and, like, it was very clear what the organization thought of him after getting him last summer, that, like, it was a big deal for them to get him. And they made him feel loved in free agency and the whole thing. And then 180 degrees the other way. So, like, I don't fully blame him. That said, you're a professional, and the effort that he came out with this year was not a professional effort, if we're being honest. And Rose is just, you know, he's getting old. So, yeah, 60-40 in one direction or the other. That's a really good, thoughtful comment there. Thanks, Eddie. Black Ice, what's going on, Black? Thank you for the contribution. I just love this team, even though they stress me out. I also want to be part of this winning streak, and this super chat is allowing me to do so. Thanks, KFS, for the great work. Man, the generosity of people, I've been saying it for years now. It's astounding to me. You're a part of what we do, super chats or no super chats. It's, you know, it always strikes me that when I go on like a pod or whatever, or like a radio station or whatever, and people occasionally get the name wrong. They don't say Knicks Film School, they say Knicks Fan School for whatever reason. But I never correct them, because to me that's just as appropriate, because, like, just a bunch of fans talking about the team. I'm just the one with the microphone. And I would sit here and I would interact with every comment that comes in if I didn't need sleep, but unfortunately I do. So thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Anton Cates on a back-to-back away. Yes. Think about that. They just beat back. I mean, the Bulls were a desperate team. And honestly, I kind of thought they came out in the first quarter looking like a team that was really locked in. Like, maybe not defensively, because I just don't know if they're capable of being locked in defensively with their personnel right now. Because, like, they have Caruso and Williams and nothing else defensively. But, like, on offense, I thought they came out really locked in. I thought the Knicks played okay defense right from the start of the game, and the Bulls were just firing away on all cylinders, and they scored 32 points in the first quarter because of that. And I was like, is this going to be, you know, not a great defensive night? And then sure enough, I don't know what the Knicks gave up over the next, 32, 33 in its ish minutes, but it wasn't a lot of points. So, yeah, good job by them. Thanks, Anton. Next up, Ryan Menzies, more steals than turnovers tonight. Is this team real? Well, they haven't turned it over all year. Give them credit for that. I'll look it up right now. Their turnover rate on the year is frighteningly low. Since the OKC game, they have the 7th lowest turnover rate in the league. On the year as a whole, they have the 9th lowest turnover rate in the league. So they don't give it away. The thing that's always been an odd characteristic of Thibodeau teams, and this is why tonight was like almost startling to watch, they're never, ever, ever high in steals. Go back and look at all the old Bulls teams. They don't gamble. They stay home. That's been part of Thibodeau's MO as a coach, a defensive coach. You know, the steals will come organically sometimes, but they don't go for steals. Tonight, they were like kind of going for steals. And they were doing it wisely. Wild, wacky stuff from these New York Knicks. But yeah, the team is for real. Thanks, Ryan. Rob, what's going on, Rob DeLusma? Sup, JM and our man, Andrew. The Knicks gave me a good dub before my birthday. Thanks for them and you guys. Mad love and respect. Mad love and respect right back to you. Your thumbnail is a little small, but you don't look a day over 25. So happy birthday to you, Rob. Always appreciate you coming and chiming in, man. Sean, 10 straight going into Christmas is on the table, John. Sean, you're the betting and sweating guy. Can I speak English? You're the betting and sweating guy. Next 4 games at Indiana, Golden State, home, no Steph. Toronto at home, struggling. Chicago at home. Goes into Christmas against Philly. What odds? What odds would you give the Knicks to sweep those 4 games? 10-1 is a little high. 10-1 is a little high. 8-1? Is that right? I don't know. Maybe 10-1 was right. I mean, 10-game winning streak, man. 10-game winning streaks don't like. When's the last time this team's had a 10-game winning streak? I don't know because they had the 9-game winning streak a few years ago, but like, maybe 10-1 is too low. Now that I'm thinking about it, but whatever. You guys talk about it on the next pregame show. How about that? Thanks, Sean. And shout out to the KFS pregame show. You guys are killing it. Sean's been killing it the last few days. Andrew's been sick. He's picked up the hosting duties, and we appreciate you doing that. You're doing a killer job. GD Nation, the entire NBA has been up and down. The Knicks will see a cool spell eventually. I just wish the KFS crew would not make bad plays so personal. Yeah, it's a good wish. I hope we don't. I told you, I succumb to pressure sometimes. I am not perfect. But at the same time, like, and I've kind of tried to be open and honest about this, I do feel like part of my job here is to reflect, how people are feeling. And if the majority of people just feel like shit about this team, I feel like it would be disingenuous to come on and be like, everything's great, everything's fine. Even if I may feel in my heart of hearts a little bit more positive than folks sometimes. At the same time, like, I genuinely did not. I said it already. I genuinely did not feel positive about this team at multiple points throughout the season. I just had a bad feeling, and it turns out I was wrong, and I'm really happy I was wrong. Thanks, GD. Adam K, we back. The streak is fun because it feels real. That's been the theme of the night, right? It feels real. It feels real. And I agree. The numbers are what they are. Like, you cannot fake the numbers. The numbers are what they are. We're getting to the point where we no longer have to look at, it's the last 6 games, or it's the last 10 games, or it's the last 16 games, or whatever. On the year, the Knicks have the 13th best net rating in basketball. They have the 8th best defense, and they have the 14th best offense. They are top half of the league in offense and top 10 in defense. Their net rating is within 0.1 points per 100 possessions of both the Nets and the Mavs. Two teams that employ two of the best 5 players in the sport in Kevin Durant and Luka Doncic. They're 0.3 points per 100 possessions behind the Nuggets, who employ the 2-time MVP. Like, that's the company they're keeping. And the Nuggets are 10th for the year in net rating. Knicks 13th. Like, the numbers say this is real. What do you do with that? Thanks, Adam. Lucas, shout out to my girlfriend Stacy. I love when we give the love to the significant others who have to endure our madness. Who endlessly puts up with me talking about the Knicks and your pod. I feel bad for her. Hi, Stacy. She didn't know squat about basketball before me. Go those Knicks. I wonder if she's happier that she knows more about basketball than the Knicks, or if she wouldn't like to put the genie back in the bottle. I wonder who's her favorite player. That's what I want to know. Thanks, Lucas. Appreciate that. And appreciate you, Stacy. Sam Slater, maybe early to say, but is Quentin Grimes and JB a top 5 backcourt? It's a little early for that. I think, again, a shameless plug for Knicks Film School's Patreon. $7 a month gets you a bonus pod every week. The bonus pod coming up within the next week to 10 days is going to be myself. Pretty sure Benji's going to be on it. I'm not sure if Andrew's chiming in for that one. Maybe we'll do a 3-man draft. I don't know. I gotta see how we're gonna work that one out. As Andrew's probably listening and being like, no, I'm not gonna be in that one. Anyway, we're gonna draft the best point guards in the league, and we're gonna figure out where Jalen Brunson ranks. And it's gonna be a very well thought out conversation ahead of time. And I've already put some work into those rankings. And I will just say that the point guard position in the league right now is stacked. It is the most stacked position in basketball, and I don't think it's close. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's get to top 10. How about that? Can we get to top 10? Maybe we get to top 10 by the end of this year. That'd be fun. I'd sign for that. Thanks, Sam. Harry, what's going on, Harry? Harry Donut. A couple weeks ago, I said, given their record and early season schedule, the Knicks would finish slightly above 500. You strongly disagreed. You just thought you should know I'm really petty and I have a good memory. I said at the top of the pod, I was looking at the upcoming schedule after the Mavs game, and I was like, does this team, if you would have put a gun to my head and asked, does this team win 6 more games before the All-Star break? Or maybe not before the All-Star break, before the midway point of the season. I would have had some serious reservations about predicting that. Good for you, Harry. Crow all you want. Sean with one more. New York hasn't lost since you know who was benched. # wink. Don't upset the hive. Robert Cross, Quentin Grimes' ceiling is a better version of Klay Thompson. Giddy up. # giddy up. Sure. Why not? I'm done fighting you, Robert. Keith with another one. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it. I also had to mention that possession where Sims moved his feet and stuck like glue to Caruso, leading to the steal by Deuce, and the finish was many heart eye emojis. It was play the game for me. Very simply, play the game for me. It's cool. Sims, man, Sims is a switch guy. That's a thing. That's a thing. You know, I don't know that he's the sort of versatile defensive weapon that we see from, again, like a guy like Bam or whatever, but like he could switch. That's a skill. He could do a lot of things. 58th pick. pretty good. Requiem Gaming, Alex, what's going on, Alex? Hello from the land of enchantment. Okay, I'll be the downer. Don't be a downer. Why you gonna be a downer? What's up with IQ? He's hesitating too much and passing up open looks. I miss his joy. I don't know. I mean, if you hear your name come up in trade rumor after trade rumor, we know because it's been reported by a lot of reliable people. Like his name was talked about in conversations. Now, if you're trying to look glass half empty or glass half full, you could take the view. I think I saw a tweet from Chris Prosianen before. Like, it seems maybe from the most recent reporting from Ian today that maybe it's other teams that have been calling about quickly, and the Knicks are just merely willing to listen. Anyway, you cut it. Like he knows his name is out there. I mean, I don't know. Does that have something to do with it? I mean, he had the previous 3 games were 4 for 11, 4 for 11, 4 for 10. And tonight was, not great. I don't know. I don't know. He's not right, though. And I miss the old Quick. But I am not selling my Emmanuel Quickly stock just yet. Not just yet. Thanks, Alex. Kevin Danishevsky with another one. Quentin Grimes up to 39% from 3. You knew he was going to get there. Houston picked Josh Christopher and Garuba over the hometown guy, Quentin Grimes, at 23 and 24. Granted, Quentin Grimes thought to go in the second round, but still a bad job. I actually like Garuba. I don't like him better than Grimes, but I like Garuba. He had a big impact on the game last night against Miami. I know he hasn't played a ton this year, but I think he's a good player. We'll see where he ends up. The Christopher pick, I don't know about that. But, look, the Knicks did a great job. It reminds me of when they passed on Ron Artest for Frederick Weiss. How the fuck do you do that? Or Donovan Mitchell for Frank Ntilikina. Sorry. Not sorry. Thanks, Kevin. DJ MKC. I'm telling my daughter that Michael Jordan was just a 6'6" version of Jalen Brunson. Inch for inch, pound for pound. I know not tonight because tonight was all threes, but inch for inch, pound for pound, craftiest scorer in the NBA. Prove me wrong. Can't do it. Nick DeSimone, this defense is suffocating and, more importantly, contagious. It's a beautiful thing, baby. I like suffocating and I like contagious. 2 really good words for this defense. 100%. Thank you. Dom Cappuccini with one more. I told you in August that the thing that will help me forget Donovan Mitchell will be the young kids killing it. It's coming, man. Grimes is exactly what I was hoping, and bonuses with Jericho and Deuce. You know what's nice? Can I just say something? What's so nice? It's nice that we don't have to have any more putting the Randall stuff aside, which Randall's his own thing, right? Putting that aside, we're not sitting here having any more conversations about we got to trade this guy to open up space for this kid, or we got to trade that vet to open up space for this other kid. I guess when Obi comes back in the rotation, assuming he comes back in the rotation, if Sims is the one who's the odd man out, we're probably going to have a lot of calls for you got to get Hardenstein out of here. You got to get Sims back in the rotation. That's fair. That will be fair if it comes to that point. But they got Sims as the first year of a 3-year, dirt cheap 3-year deal. So not if that's the worst, I'll live with it. The bigger crime for me is if they made a trade for a veteran guard and it pushed Deuce out, that would kill me. And again, you guys know I have not been a Deuce guy. I had to scratch and claw my way onto the bandwagon after they tried to kick me off a few days ago. I would have tried to kick me off too. It's fine. That kid, for where the Knicks are at right now as an organization and for what he's done for them, I hope to God that we never have to have a conversation about Deuce McBride not being in the rotation. That, even saying those words out loud seems Ridiculous. See what this kid is, please, because he looks pretty freaking good. Thanks, Dom. As the Lakers are like blowing out the Nuggets. Wow, this is with no Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis left this game injured. Interesting. Pluckster, what's going on, Pluckster? Love Deuce out there communicating and orchestrating on D. Talk about on cue. In your lifetime, have you ever felt as good about the Knicks point guard rotation as I do now? No, because I've never had Jalen Brunson on my team. Deuce is icing on the cake. So that's an easy answer. I've never felt as good. And I was a big fan of Charlie Ward and Chris Childs. I vehemently disagreed with Stephon Marbury when he said that the Knicks would never, what would they say? They never win a championship, or they never go anywhere, or whatever, with Charlie Ward as their point guard. Well, I mean, technically he was right, but like, you know, they made a finals. That was pretty good. But good question, Pluckster. Thank you for the contribution. Rose always balls out when given the green light and minutes, i.e. he dropped 30 in his first start of 2021 playoffs and got 50 when half the Timberwolves were hurt. Too humble. Broken heart. Oh, this is someone that wants Derrick Rose back in the rotation. He might be barking up the wrong tree, unfortunately. Sorry. I mean, he's 34 years old. And, you know, I hope he gets a chance with another team this year, but it's not going to be the Knicks. He's not. I don't know how he could watch his team and be like, you know what they need? They need to go back to Derrick Rose. That's a misguided take. But thank you for the contribution. D. Fwesh? Oh, I see. D. Fwesh. The real winners, the Knicks scouting team. #draft. Yep. Good comment. Appreciate that. Shout out to Walt Perrin. Busy with another one. Stop with the RJ hate. He guarded the DeRozan. Who did Brunson guard? What am I hating on RJ? I like RJ had a good game. I just don't know if I could give him one of my 3 stars of the game. That's the thing. But he played really well tonight. He played good defense, and he found it on offense. DeMar DeRozan 6 of 14, 4 turnovers. RJ had a great game. Okay, it's fine. Brunson gets hit in every game on defense, and we sing his praises. Well, in fairness, Brunson is the lifeblood of this offense. And I think Brunson should be getting hit on defense. And quite frankly, RJ should be taking on more of responsibility on defense because he's not anywhere near the caliber of player that Jalen Brunson is on offense. And he's not asked to do anywhere near what Jalen Brunson is asked to do on offense. So, like, the responsibility should be shifted. Now, when RJ Barrett has so-so offensive games or good offensive games, and if he has a great defensive game, I'll be the first person to sing his praises. I don't know if he had a great defensive game tonight. He had a good defensive game, you know? And the reason I say I don't think he had a great defensive game tonight is because we know what great defensive games look like because we see them almost every night from Quentin Grimes and Deuce McBride and Emmanuel Quickley. Even tonight when he played pretty well against DeMar DeRozan, played good, played very good. It's different, you know? It's different. That's how I see it, at least. I could be wrong, but that's how I see it. Thanks, Busy. Imad Khalil, I was 7 when the Knicks won in 73. I definitely remember. Trade Julius, fire Tibbs. Thanks, Imad. I disagree. But appreciate it. Sam Garcia's dad. Love the Garcia family. In a year when this team is a contender, will Grimes be the second or third best player on the team? #53 wins. If this team is a contender, my prediction is that he will be the 4th best player on the team. That's my prediction. Dom the Dentist. Playing either the Cavs or Nets or Sixers in the playoffs is also porn. Storylines everywhere. Which team do you think we could take in a series? Of those? That's a great question. you know, might be, not might be, almost certainly is be careful what you wish for. I would want the Nets. I would want the Nets. Because you know why? If we played the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell like averaged 40 points a game and was the reason we went down, that would hurt a lot. The Sixers, I mean, if we lose to the Sixers, I think Joel Embiid is one of the best players in the league. So like I don't even know if that I get that upset about it. I also think, I don't know, would we have a better chance to beat the Sixers than the Nets? That's a tough one for me. I'm going to go with the Nets. I really do think they would have a chance of beating the Nets because I think, well, the Nets obviously have the best player in the series. I think they'd have a game plan. Like you can't have a game plan for KD because he's KD. He's ungame planable. It's part of why he's freaking KD. But like I think they'd have a game plan for how to play the rest of the team, which I don't think is that good. I know they blew us out a month ago, but like still. And like I don't know, is like the notion of losing to the Nets would suck, but at the same time, it's like if you lose to KD, it's like it's KD, you know. So I would want to play the Nets. That's my pick. Thanks, Tom. Sam Garcia, John. I love Quentin Grimes more than I love myself. That's really, it's really selfless. It's really selfless of you, Sam. I'm really starting to wonder, is the Garcia family actually 3 different people? Or is it just one person masquerading as 3? So these are unanswered questions. Andrew reminds me, very underestimated, the Doc Rivers part of that series. Yeah, we would have the better coach, I think. That's fair. Will Oliver, not much to add here, but 6 in a row, and most importantly, a little Friday night Knicks winning streak brewing. Hey, how you doing? Let's fucking go. Feels good, man. Yes, it does. Feels really good. Johnny Chiba, if how you doing, Johnny? It was always a pleasure. If the Knicks trade superfluous weight, Fournier, Cam, or Derrick Rose, what kind of player could fit into a tight winning rotation, or should the front office concentrate on an asset return? Hashtag KOC. Well, they're not getting an asset for Fournier. They're not getting an asset for Rose, and for Cam, they're going to get a second-round pick. They're really succeeding with the 9-man rotation. You know, again, I'd like my answer to be asset return, but like, I just you're not getting an asset for any of those. I mean, again, Cam, you're getting like a second-round pick. I don't even know if it's a good one at this point. So I feel like they're just going to bite the bullet and be like, you know what? If we could figure out a way to use Cam to dump Fournier, again, not that they need to dump the money. They don't need to dump the money, but just like, I don't know, it feels cleaner. I'll just say it. If they use Cam to dump Fournier and they don't really end up with much back, I'm fine with it. Cut your losses. Thanks, Johnny. Sam Garcia, is Quentin Grimes this franchise's best draft pick since Patrick Ewing? Hashtag Grime time. That is a grenade to drop at hour 2 as we enter into hour 3 of this live stream. The best draft pick since Ewing. So RJ Barrett would like a word. Mitchell Robinson would like a word. I know we're not allowed to talk about him anymore, but Kristaps Porzingis would like a word. Now, all of these players are very good, but if you're talking about value, really it's just Mitch is the only one in consideration because Mitch was taken 36th. Quentin Grimes taken 25th. If we're talking about value, Kevin brought up Wilson Chandler. I'll go and I'll say the unequivocally, David Lee was better as far as a value pick. David Lee, different again. Don't think about David Lee in the context of today's NBA. Think about David Lee in the context of the NBA as it was. That dude was a double-double machine. He was a 30th pick of the draft, and he made the All-Star team for the Knicks. Think about that. So at least since David Lee's best value pick since at least David Lee. Say that. Thanks, Sam. Robert Cross. I got my KFS hat for Ewing Patreon. So excited. Happy holidays, everyone. Hashtag 53 wins. Shout out to all of our Ewing tier Patreon patrons. You guys are incredibly generous beyond what I ever thought was possible. I hope you dig the hats. They took a little while to get done. I apologize for that, but I'm really proud of how they came out. I got a couple more to ship out because the shipping place by me ran out of boxes. So I'm gonna get the rest of those out tomorrow. But glad you like it, Robert. Makes me happy that you're happy. Him with another one. I'm 24. Derrick Rose was my mentor in grammar school and taught me how to read. That's amazing. He's been an inspiration, especially now that I have stage 4 cancer. I hate to see Rose with no spot. Well, first of all, I don't really have the words to respond to that. I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope, I hope that you are enjoying what you can enjoy right now in life. That's pretty brutal. But I'm glad you had that experience with Derrick Rose. He seems like an awesome guy. I get the attachment. And it's why I get it. I get it. And there's a reason why, like, he is loved in the city of Chicago like he is. It's because I'm sure you're not the only person that he touched in a very, like, special, significant way. Because he's clearly that type of guy, it's just not the time for him right now. It sucks. It's just not the time for him right now in New York. And you know what? Say this for Derrick Rose. His career could have gone for as bad as it went. And it went bad with the injuries. He could have petered out and never had this second act. But like you brought up, he had the 50-point game in Minnesota. Like you brought up, he was the best player for the Knicks in the playoffs 2 years ago. He had the second act. Some guys who get injured, they never have that second act. He did. And that's cool. And maybe, just maybe, that second act will be enough to get him into the Hall of Fame. I don't know. I'm hoping for it. But anyway, it's cool that you had that experience. And again, my heart is with you, and so is the hearts of I am sure everybody watching. Thank you for the comment. Busy with another one. That's our problem then. The best player can't play one side of the ball. Why are we hating on Jalen Brunson after this game? Jalen Brunson can fight on defense. Jalen Brunson is not Kemba Walker on defense. Jalen Brunson is part of the defensive scheme that is doing just fine. You gotta understand that different players take on different roles, and Jalen Brunson's role is mostly on offense. And because of that, you invest money in guys like RJ Barrett, who are supposed to hold up the end of the bargain on the other side of the floor as well. Can't have two-way superstars at every position. You got to pick and choose. It's not realistic. And again, Brunson battles his ass off on defense. Can't make up for his size limitation, but he battles his ass off. And that's all you could ask for, especially with some of what we've seen this year from other players who shall not be named. Lucas. What's going on, Lucas? Stacy's favorite player is Brunson because she's a smart woman. How could it not be? She also had the final approval on my fantasy team name, Too Hot to Randall. Too Hot to Randall. That's a good one. That's good. Stacy seems like a keeper. Put a ring on it, Lucas. That's my advice. Sam Garcia's dad. Why do you hate Quentin Grimes, John? Hashtag let the good Grimes roll. I like that. That's good. Sam Garcia's dad. Fourth best player. Why do you hate Quentin Grimes, John? I don't hate him. I love Quentin Grimes. Here's the thing. If Quentin Grimes is the fourth best player on your team, you better believe you're probably contending for a championship. I think so. I don't think he's the fourth best player on this team. I'll say that. Thank you again to the whole Garcia family. I-95 Bully. Damn, I just finished watching the game. I didn't expect you guys to still be here. Yeah, no, I mean, when the Knicks are streaking, which they are, we go long, baby. We go long. Where else would we be? It's a Friday night. Kevin Danishevsky. Funniest moment of the season was unequivocally Archie booed for taking that layup. Oh, at the I missed that one. My roommate gave up basketball 2 years ago, but he watched and he loved the Rose 3. It was a special moment. It was really cool. And then Requiem Gaming, hashtag no sleep in Brooklyn. I mean, it's only 12:37. But the bummer is that I think every NBA game is over because what I love is when I get done with these, I get to sit and watch like the second half of some West Coast game. But because tonight started a little bit later because it was in Chicago, there is, I don't believe any. Yeah, there's no NBA games that are still going on. So I'm probably gonna put on. I don't know what to put on. I might put on a movie. I watched before we finish up. I watched the Banshees of Inisherin. It's on HBO Max. I'm not getting paid by HBO Max to say this. If you're someone that's watching and you either have HBO Max or you can get HBO Max for free on one of those deals, or even if you want to pay for HBO Max, you should do it. Watch Banshees of Inisherin. That shit will fuck you up. But in all the right ways. It is the feel-bad movie of the year, and I could not recommend it enough. It is the funniest movie that I've seen in years. But I also have a very particular sense of humor. So I'm not going to watch that movie, but I'll watch something. I'll find something to watch on TV because I'm definitely not going to sleep anytime soon. And that is all I have to say about that. Our final reminder from our friends at WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100. Download, bet, win. Thank you for Andrew for backing up our efforts tonight as he is still on the mend. Thank you to Justin for the amazing production tonight, killing it as always. And of course, thanks to you for tuning in. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Knicks Film School YouTube channel, and follow KFS on all of your favorite social media platforms at Knick Film School. That's SKOOL. We are done for tonight. We will see you on Sunday, pregame and postgame. Oh, wait, no, we got one last super chat. How are we going to finish up tonight? I think we have one last super chat. Yeah, Dan Hidalgo. I missed the mailbag. Who's your second favorite NBA team? Oh, the Patreon mailbag. I don't have a second favorite NBA team. I have one favorite NBA team. I have no second favorite NBA team. I will say that is there a team that I like kind of root for? Like, or not, I don't root for anybody else other than the Knicks, but like that's a really, I mean, no, I was like trying to come up with something. No, I don't have anybody else. Andrew texts me the Miami Heat. No, it's not the Miami Heat. I did. I'll give you my league pass team. My first league pass team this year is the Jazz. I've watched a lot of Jazz, and I enjoy watching the Jazz. That's about it. Yeah, Duncan Robinson. Andrew, stop. All right, that's it. We're done. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Peace out.